Hi there, and welcome to this week's Growth Execution webinar. I'm here every week to discuss a topic all about how to launch, build, and grow your business. This week, we're talking about how do I test the market. All right, you've got a great idea. You want to know how you're going to be able to actually get that into an audience's grasp, how they're going to be able to assess it, see whether it's right for them, and how you're then going to be able to grow that and to build a business out of it. So without further ado, let's crack on. So when you start with a business, or you start with any kind of idea, where your jumping off point is always around the product. Right now, those who are regular viewers will know we very specifically focus in on three areas here. We focus on product, marketing, and sales. So this particular topic, all about testing the market, is going to live within product, and very specifically within product design. Okay, now this is the second element of the growth execution formula. So it's the one right after you've worked out your why you are here to solve this particular problem. And then you're going to go straight into the design side of things and make sure that you're going to be in a position to service an appropriate market. And product design is really the kind of journey that you are going to take your customers on from vague interest to realizing kind of like actually they've got a problem and they're kind of thinking about how they might be able to solve it, all the way through to essentially being an advocate. Right? So actually wanting to tell other people just how amazing your product is and how it can help them too. So along the way, you're going to try and make sure that they are engaged with the product, then delighted with it before they get to the application stage. And this really is how you enter the market, how you get involved with people who are going to be the target, not just of your start product, but the kind of group, the cohort, the type of person, what they think about, what they feel, what they believe, that grouping, and how you can then move them from being broadly interested in what you're doing all the way through to advocating for it. And to get to that point, to get it right, what you need to really think hard about is iteration. All right. Now, the first thing that you need to do with your product is get what they call a minimum viable product out. Now, a minimum viable product is essentially the lightest version of your product or service, the one that doesn't have any whistles or bells on it, that is purely the slimmest version that's going to solve the problem. All right, it's going to take your customers from being in a position of knowing that they've got a problem all the way through to solving that problem. All right, and that's within. You've probably got an idea when you launch about what that looks like. Make sure primarily that it does the job. Okay, because if it doesn't, then the only feedback you're going to get is this doesn't do the job. What you want from a minimum viable product is considerably more feedback about the actual nuts and bolts of what it does, how it feels when people are using it. And frequently, if you skip this step, what you then tend to find is that that it suits nobody. All right, when you actually roll that out to the market and you don't seek out this testing the market, this product market fit, you are going to find that you've spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, probably a lot of money on building something that actually in the end doesn't solve enough of a problem or enough people's problems that people are going to be willing to buy it at any scale, and therefore it's not going to be a profitable enterprise. So this is a really, really, really hugely critical step, and it's one that you really need to pay attention to. And that's why this minimum viable product, getting that out to the market, is such an important step. All right, so you've got your slimmed down minimum viable product and you're getting that out into the market and you're receiving feedback on it. This is where the iteration comes in. All right, and this is your full test of the market. As you receive that feedback, what you're going to be in a position to do is to either accept or reject it. Right now, I have been in positions, and it can be quite cringy when you are sitting with an entrepreneur and they are hearing just how bad their product is. All right. Now, this can be constructive criticism. And, in general terms, if you are to move a product along, sometimes you have to really force people to sit and hear some pretty bad news about what it is that they're looking to create. So always, when you're getting that feedback, try and distill it down into what is relevant and appropriate and constructive to what is either, sometimes it's just people saying, yeah, it's amazing when they don't really mean it, or people saying it's terrible because they can't bother to work out what it really should do. So there is an art and perhaps a science to this, and perhaps this is where you can get somebody who is reasonably independent to have a look, to encourage these conversations, perhaps even to screen these conversations from you, because as an entrepreneur, it is emotionally challenging for anybody to tell you that your idea is rubbish. All right, it's just not it's not great for anybody. So do think about how you might be able to get that feedback when it's not going to compromise your very essence and your soul and everything you live for. When somebody says something that's not great about what it is that you've put out there. So product design and minimum viable products, and then moving through to iteration, is all about essentially carving your product, your service, and making it into something that really fits the market, that is perfect for the people that you seek to serve, and that they actually have given you enough feedback that that this is what is required out in the market. All right, so that is very, very quickly what you need to do with regard to testing the market. So your action for this week, we always like to give you something to get on with and do, is to iterate. Okay, now, we're coming out of lockdown here in the UK pretty soon. I know that around the world there is a lot of different steps along the way as we enter the next normal, as people call it, after the pandemic. So think hard about how you are going to make your product fit the market as it is going to be. So many things have changed, and so many products really no longer are appropriate for the market in the old way. A great example of that is cinema. Right now, ended up watching Godzilla versus Kong last week with my boys, and we watched that at home, right? And that was released that weekend, and it was great fun, and it was clearly. On a big, massive screen in a cinema, it would be very, very impactful from a scale perspective. But cinemas are going to have to learn to live with a different business model now, because studios, including Disney and others, are putting more films out via online, because they get all the revenues for doing that. So that's an example of where products have had to change, bearing in mind the new circumstances, and your product, your service may do too, and it may be that you need to completely relaunch it. So always be alive to these changes, and be alive to how you might need to maneuver your product or service into a different fit, so that it always meets the needs and the requirements of those that you seek to serve. Final point, always around the recommendation. Now, if you get the Growth Execution newsletter every Sunday, you'll know that Nir Eyal's new book, Indistractable, is the book of the week from that. Here on the Growth Execution webinar, his original one, Hooked, it's a classic. It's one of my favorite books. It is the one that comes with this warning about don't using it for evil, which I think is brilliant. And I don't think everybody that's read it has done it in that spirit, but nevertheless, what it can do when you are thinking about how to design your product and how to make it right for your market, it gives you some amazing insights into what people are looking for from their products, and how you can make it into a habit forming one, something that people come back to again and again. And without spoiling it too much, it's all about variable rewards. Okay, if people don't know, they're unsure about what they're going to get, but they know that sometimes it's brilliant, then they will keep coming back to search for that that moment of brilliance. And it's the same thing that drives, gambling, when you sometimes win and most often don't. It's the same thing that drives Facebook's newsfeed, where you sometimes see something interesting and often don't, and so on and so forth. So listen to that book, Hooked by Nir Eyal. It is great when you're in the product design phase for seeing if you can just add a little bit more to your product to really make it smash that product market fit and really drive customers through to your product or service. All right, now, thank you very much indeed for watching this week's very quick run through of our growth execution webinar topic. This is how do I test the market? Plenty more always on the Growtion website, growtion.co. There is plenty free tips, links, all sorts that's going to help you to build and grow your business and do it fast. For me, for this week, that's it. I hope there is some actionable, executable tips that you have picked up from today's webinar. Thanks so much for watching. And look, if you're ready, let's get growing.